So hello everyone, welcome to this another video of Spring Rest playlist. I'm Abhishek Verma and in today's video we are going to learn what are the new annotations which should be used in the controller layer. Beside this, we are also going to see that how we can customize the response body as well as the response status. So without wasting any more time, let's directly get started and see how the things are going to look like.
So now we are in the IDE, and what I have done is that I have copied the previous demo and created demo 2 from this. Let's directly go to this UML diagram of demo 2. Trust me, currently it is exactly same like the previous one. Hence, I will try to explain this in order to do a recap of previous one. Let me increase the size a bit by clicking plus. Now here, you see that first of all, we have a demo class. Within this, we contain a main method and a default constructor. Then we have a controller layer here, or you can say the controller class. Now in the controller class, if you remember, we created the methods, and upon those methods, we provided the annotations. With the help of those annotations, we were providing the URLs so that we can directly invoke the methods. Then once the control will come to the controller layer, from there, it is going to move to the service layer. Now for the service, you see, we are having the interface and then we are having the implementation class. As of now, the service was very simple. There wasn't anything much. From the service, we were simply calling the repository layer. And for repository also, the goals are same. First of all, we are having the interface and then we are having an implementation class. So in the repository, we were only having the hard-coded strings. As of now, I'm not making usage of any actual database or the entity class, data JPA or DTOs or all these things. Because currently, my goal is just to create a nice controller layer or a nice controller class. That's it. So our focus is not on the repository or the service. But trust me, from the next demo onwards, we are going to make usage of the actual Spring Data JPA repository. And there, a service layer is also going to be a bit more complex. So the best part is that you should be watching Spring Data JPA playlist before continuing with this particular playlist. Else you will say that, okay, Abhishek, you were just reading the code. Yeah, but actually that's not a thing. I'm not only reading the code. I have already explained many of the things in the previous playlist. Then besides this, we are having the exception class, which was just our custom exception. So this was the main thing. So what I'll do is from here, I'll directly jump on to this particular class. Yeah, that's the benefit of a UML diagram. Now, in this one, you see that we were having these annotations and all these things we created. And we created almost like 6 different methods. So we were having a method to post something. And when I say post, my goal is to create a new data in the database. Although here we were not using database, but you just need to understand my intention. Okay. So here my intention was to create something new in the database. So I said post here. Then in this one, my intention was to get or read something from the database. So I was saying get here. Then in this one, my intention was to update something in the database. So I said put. Yeah. And when I say update, I wanted to update the complete resource. As of now, you will say, okay, what is resource? You are just saying string. Because as I said, that this is dummy as of now. In the next one, we will enhance it. But then you will say that, okay, Vishek, you should have explained us basics first. So that's what I'm doing here. Yeah. So then the next one is patch. Now patch, you see that patch is also doing the job of update only. But patch means a small update. When you don't want to update the complete resource, only some of the variables, some of the columns you want to update. Then we say patch. Okay. Now it's all about intentions only, guys. Yeah. And that I have already explained in the previous video. Then the next one was we wanted to delete something. So we used to say delete. And then here we wanted to get all the owners. So we used to say something like this. Yeah. And this is the way we used to create the URLs. You know that from the postman, we can just say /owners. Then depending on the type, whether it's a post, get, put, patch or delete, the particular method will be invoked. In case you will say /owners/all with get, then this particular method is going to be invoked. In case you will make any kind of mistake while invoking, then code is also going to throw you the error, which I will show you in the upcoming videos. But This is how the things are going to look like. And it was working also. I mean, it was working perfectly. Yeah. And most of the time, learners are going to start from this. But the reality is that you can start with it. But in the long run, instead of making usage of this kind of a controller, we should be enhancing it even more further. Yeah. So, in order to enhance, the number one thing which we need to see here is that you see on the class level, I was saying controller. Now, what is the purpose of controller annotation? To mention that this is a controller class plus to create a bean for this particular class. Then you see what is the purpose of this response body. Would you like to comment me that what was the main purpose, why we added this annotation before even going through back to the previous video? Let's see how many of you are going to remember this annotation. So the main purpose was that by default, when we say controller here, and then we try to return a particular string, then Spring assumes that you are trying to return the name of a particular UI page. Yeah. But we say that, okay, we don't want to return a UI page. Instead, I want to return a data. In that case, we need to make usage of the annotation @response body. But the problem was that in all the complete controller here, okay, so for all the methods, I want to return data only. So there is no where I'm returning any kind of a page as such. Yep. So if I don't wish to return a page and everywhere I just want to return a data only, so why to repeat this annotation again and again? Can't we have any simple way where we can say that, okay, this controller class or this particular class is going to return data only, not a UI page? So the answer is yes, that is possible. And for that, what we will do is we will just simply say here rest. Now the annotation is going to look something like this. Now it will say that this is a REST controller, and also it is going to create a bead for the Spring like it was doing earlier. The benefit is now you don't need to mention this annotation. So this is gone. So in short, you can say that this @REST controller is nothing but a combination of controller plus a combination of this particular response body. So let me just quickly copy from here and paste it here. So this is how it is going to look like: controller plus response body. Generally, we use controller when we are creating a Spring MVC application, because at that point of time, we want to return the UI pages. But here, when you just want to return only the data in your whole class, then better you make usage of @REST controller. Now, as I mentioned, you don't need to make usage of that annotation again and again. So we can remove it, and I can remove from here. I can remove from here. I will also remove it from here, and I'm also going to remove it from here. So this is how it is going to look like now. Yep. You may say that, okay, just a small change, but trust me, these small changes are only going to enhance your application. Okay, your application is not going to be enhanced with a sudden big change at any point of time. These small things only are going to make your application better. Next, the next thing is, I mean, it is something very common that whenever your annotation contains only one argument, and that single argument is for the key value. I mean, it is the name of the key, the name of the parameter should be value. At that point of time, you don't need to mention it. You can just say something like this, okay? And this is something very general in Java. It is applicable for almost all the annotations. When the name of your variable is value, at that point of time, you can just simply mention it. In case there are multiple parameters you need to pass, then obviously you need to mention that, okay, this is going to the value. Yeah. Then after this, the next one is that there is some issue in these. Okay, I'm not sure whether these green or blue lines are visible to you or not, but whenever I will hover over here, then I will see something like this. Now, why I'm able to see this? Because in my IDE, I have already installed the plugin of SonarLint. I have a special video where I have shown that how you can add all these extra plugins. Trust me, whether you are making usage of Eclipse IDE, STS IDE, or IntelliJ or whatever, you should be having SonarLint in your IDE installed so that it keeps providing you the suggestions for the better code. So I will go here in the open description of rule, and then let me just move it a bit up. So let's see what it says. It says that since Spring Framework 4.3 onwards, instead of using @request mapping, you should be using its variant, that is get mapping. So instead of saying @request mapping, then saying request method get, better is that you should start with the @get mapping. Simple. Instead of saying post here, better you say post mapping. Instead of saying put, you say put mapping. Instead of saying patch, you say patch mapping. And instead of saying delete, you should be saying delete mapping here. Yeah? These are as per the best practices. Now you will say that, okay, Abhishek, why didn't you directly start with this only? If that was the case, the reason is that many times you guys or whatever the learner is, they are coming by watching someone else's video, and then they may get confused that whether we should be using these or whether we should be using that annotation. That was my main reason. So this thing got introduced in Spring Framework 4.3 onwards. Now if you see, if I can go to somewhere here in Maven dependencies, then you will see that all the Spring which we are using, this is currently Spring Framework 6. Yeah, so I'm making usage of the latest Spring version here. That's why I should be making usage of these new annotations instead of the previous one as a good practice. In case if your actual coding, or in case if your actual project is making usage of any older version, let's say sometimes like Spring Framework 4 only, or even previous older than the 4, then in that case, these new annotations are not going to work. Then request mapping is only going to work for you. Okay, so now it's the time to enhance these annotations. What we will do is, first of all, we are going to say here post mapping, and this is going to look something like this. See, it is much more clean. Then let's go to this particular one, and here I will be saying get, and then I don't need these brackets. Again, this is going to look better. Then let's go for this particular one, and here let's say put mapping, and in this one also, now I don't need this. Then here also let me go to this one, and here what I will do is I will say patch mapping. Again, we don't need this particular one, and here let me go here to this one, and let me say here delete mapping, and again we don't need something like this. Now let me just say Ctrl+Shift+O so that it gets imported and save it. Now you see it's looking much more better than the previous one. Now one more last thing, that what should be done for this particular one, because till now we were not having any arguments. For all of them, they were pointing to the /owners only. But what about this? Here we also need to say /all. So for this, what you can do is that you can just simply say here get, same way like you did for the others also. So we will be saying, okay, again and again I'm making the same mistake. So you can say get here, and then you just need to remove this method part. So this value is only left. So that means we don't need to mention the value, and we can just simply say all here. And this is how it is going to look like, guys. Yeah. Now you see it is much more better than the previous one. Short and sweet. So this was another change. Now, first of all, let's execute the code and see whether it is still working fine or not. Okay. Many times it happens, we just keep on changing the things. At the end, we see that, okay, it's not working. And then we think, okay, which change must have broken our code? So let's first of all see. It may happen that it's not working. So, okay, if we go here, you see that it says started demo in these many seconds, Tomcat port number 8080. For this, let's go to Postman here. And here you see that I have already created a collection for the demo one. What I'll do is, instead of touching the same, I'll just duplicate it somewhere like this. And let me rename it as, so from here, let me rename it as demo 2. And here I'm having these things. So first of all, let's go to this save owner. And here, let me click on this particular one and see it says saved owner. This is working fine. Here, there is no change. The only change was in the way we wrote the annotation. Now let's go to this find owner. So again, let's execute. It says found owner. Let me execute it again. And now it says can't find owner. And same way, all other annotations are also going to work fine. Now that is your job, that whenever you are downloading the code at that point of time, you should be executing all these APIs, and then you let me know whether it is working fine or not. But now let's move on with the next thing. Now you see that when I executed this, what do you see here in this particular screen? The major thing which you see here is that there is a particular type, which type of request it is, whether it's a post, get, put, patch, delete, or what. Then you see there is this particular URL. Yeah, so this is also clear. Then you see there is some output response here. Obviously, as of now, we don't have any kind of input body, but from the next video onwards, we are going to have the input also. So as of now, we have something this. But beside this also, there is a very important aspect in this screen, and that is this status. Okay, so this is the response status. Now what it says is, it says 200 okay, and there is a description also for this, that is request is successful, the server has responded as required. This is the default description of this status 200 okay. Same way, if we go to this find owner, let me just click on this, you again see we are having a type, we are having the URL, there is no input body as of now, and we are having a response here as found owner. And again, there is a status 200 okay, which means again everything went well here. Let me execute it again. Now this time it says can't find owner. But you see, when I should be giving can't find owner, that means there must be some kind of exception in the backend. That's why only I'm giving can't find owner. Now you think from the perspective that you are creating a UI application, and then you want to invoke this particular backend, and it will say you can't find owner, but everything is okay. Does it looks good that it says okay, I'm not able to find the owner, but still everything is good? Okay, so it's not okay. In this particular case, instead of saying 200 okay, it should be telling us something more meaningful code here. Okay, so the question is, can't we change this status code here? Yeah, so the answer is yes, we can change this status code also. Yeah, so let's see how we can change. For this, we'll again go back here, and let me just stop the application, and let's go to this particular one. Now what we are doing is that currently you see always we are returning the string only. Yeah, here this string is just for showing you, otherwise you can assume that it can be the owner object also, it can be some integer also, it can be a long, it can be a double, it can be a float, it can be a list, it can be a map, it can be anything. Okay, but what I'm trying to say is that we are only returning the data here. But the thing is that along with this data, we can even provide more information with the help of that status code. Now let's see how to provide the more information. For this, what I'll do is, instead of saying string, I will be returning it as response, and then I'm going to say here response entity. So now it is going to look something like this. This means that instead of returning a string, I'm going to return a Java object or a Java class, which is response entity. Within that response entity, the data type or the main object is string. Again, it can be string, it can be owner, it can be anything else. So let me say here Control Shift O. Now it has imported. Now how it is going to impact my output? Because find owner is only returning a string, but now I need to return this response entity. If you wish, you can just click on this one, and then you can have a look how it is going to look like. So this is basically going to extend HTTP entity, and then it is going to look something like this. There are some methods and all these things, but this is how it will look. Let me directly show you here what is the benefit of it. So first of all, the goal is that now instead of returning a string, we need to return this. Let's see how we can do. So what I'm going to do here is, first of all, I will be saying like this. So I'm going to say here string response, and then I'm going to save this value here. Then in the next one, I'll again go back to this one, and here I'm going to say here response entity, something like this. And with the help of this response entity, now I will be having a method here, which is body. So I will be saying this body here. So let me just invoke the method body, something like this. And within this body, what I can do is I can provide this same response. So within this response entity, we can provide the response as a part of the body. But that was not the major use. The major usage was that we are having another method here, which is status here. Yeah. Now within this status, we can provide our own status, whatever you wish. Now here, as of now, I will be giving the correct answer. So what do you think? What I should return whenever everything works well? Obviously, I should be returning okay, 200 okay. So let me do that. So I will be saying here HTTP status. And then you see, I'm having so many different responses. So from here, let me go to this particular okay. So this looks something like this. Yep. So this is how it is going to look like now. So now I'm returning an object of response entity. There I was having two methods, status, in which I can provide my own status, and in the body, I will be providing the actual body, which I want to send earlier also. Yeah. Now the same thing let's do with this another one also. So let me go here. Remember that we wanted to return e.getMessage. Okay. So let's do it here. And this time, let me just copy this particular part from here and let me replace it with the response. If you wish, first of all, again, you can save it as a variable and then you can provide here. But here it was very simple. Okay. Here also, if you wish, you can do directly that you can say owner service.find owner. It depends on you, like how much you want to make it readable. So this is how it is going to look like. But again, you see, we are trying to do the same thing only. Now, whenever everything is fine, we are saying okay. Whenever any exception happens, then also we are saying okay. Instead of saying okay, so this exception means it has not found something which was required. So let's see, do we have any better message here? So what I wish is I can say here something like not found. This looks something more better. So now I will say that whenever there is an exception, I will be returning not found. So instead of saying okay, now you can give not found. If you wish, you can see all of them here also. So you can click and you will see all these error messages. Okay. So the error message is not found and the code is 404. Now you see, many times you have seen this error, whether you are a developer or maybe even when you were a student, and even before that, you must have seen this error on multiple websites. So generally, we make usage of these things, these error codes: 404, 403, forbidden, 402, payment required. So many things are there. 405, method not allowed. So it is your choice, whatever you wish to give. Sometimes you say that, okay, whatever thing is being provided to you, that is not acceptable. So you can do something like this. There is request timeout, there is a conflict, and there are so many. And the best part is you don't need to remember all of them, but you should be aware of only few of them. Okay. So this is how we did here. Let me just enhance the same thing for all other methods also, and then I'll show you quickly that how it is going to look like.
One eternity later.
So guys, after the enhancement, our code is going to look something like this. You see that first of all, for the save owner, what I'm doing is that instead of saying okay, now I'm saying created. I mean, isn't it better that when someone says that, okay, I want to save an owner. Now, whenever you want to say save an owner, actually you want to add something in your database. You want to create a row. So isn't it better to tell them that, okay, you wanted to create and I have created. So this time the code is 201 created. And the best part is you don't need to remember those codes as such. You can just remember their names. So here we are saying created. Then for all others, it is simple. For the update owner, if everything goes well, we will say okay. Otherwise, we are going to say not found. I mean, obviously, if the owner is not found, how can you update it? So that's why. Same way for this update pad details, same way for the delete owner also, and same way for this one also, that is find all owners. Yeah? For these kind of things, like for find all owners, here you see that here there is nothing much we are doing. By default also it is going to be 200 okay. Now also we are making it as 200 okay. So if you wish, for these kind of methods you can leave the things. But the point is, at the end, the consistency matters. Let's see that after many years you are going to look back towards your code. At that point of time, you will appreciate yourself that how well you coded the things when everything is so much consistent. So this is how you can do the things. So now let's again execute the code and see how our output is going to look like now. So again, it is running. Let's go back here. First of all, let's go to this save owner. So again, I'll click, and now you see instead of getting 200 OK, now it says 201 created. And the message for 201 created is a new resource was created successfully. Now let's go to this find owner. For here, now let me again click. So for found owner, it says 200 OK, again same. And for this can't find owner, it says 404 not found, which means requested resource could not be found. And see, they are even providing this emoji on their own. Okay. So that is the benefit, guys. Now you may say that, okay, Abhishek, we understand that it's benefit, but don't you think so that it is much more time consuming here as a coder? Because earlier we were directly able to return the response as it is. We were able to return the message as it is. Like, who cares about all those status code? The reality is that if you think from the perspective of a UI developer, okay, everyone who is developing the UI here, generally whenever they are going to invoke your URLs, something like this, then even before directly consuming the output, sometimes as a good practice, they check the status code. So in case if the status code is 200, which means okay, then they will show a different kind of a screen. In case the status code is somewhat starting with 4, because generally all the status codes starting with 4 are going to show some kind of error, some kind of exception. Then they are having different mechanism to handle the output. So that means they don't need to rely on the exact message or the exact kind of output which you are returning. Sometimes just with the help of these status codes only, they are able to understand what is the output. Yeah, and that is helpful also. Not only those, but many times even as a Java developer also, later on we are even going to enhance the things that from our Java application only we are going to invoke another Java application. At that point of time, that another Java application is also going to send us this kind of status code. So with the help of status code, we will analyze whether what we need to do at that point of time. Hence, this is very, very important. Yeah. And again, as I say, rest is all about the architectural style. Okay. It doesn't matter that if you could have went for this demo one only. Okay. If you wish, you can just execute demo one, and believe me, your code will keep working fine. So trust me that you became a Spring REST developer the moment you learned my demo one. At that point of time also you were a Spring REST developer. And now also you are a Spring REST developer. The only thing is the developer who knows demo 2 is much more better than the developer who knows demo 1. And in this playlist, we are going to have almost 20 demos. Now see the level which we are going to reach by the end of this particular playlist. And for that, you need to watch all the videos. And for that, you need to subscribe to the channel. Okay. And for that, you just need to click on the subscribe button. It's that easy. Besides this, please share with as many as friends as you can, because in the upcoming demos, we are much more going to enhance this particular application. And trust me, there are so many interesting things which are going to blow your mind that, okay, these things also exist. And we are going to do all of them in this particular playlist only, step by step. Okay, so that's it for this particular video. I hope you find it helpful. If yes, do like the video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.